All right, guys, welcome back to the Self-Made Training Facility Comeback Series, where we go through the different trainers and what they have experienced, the ones that have been with us and the ones that have come back to us. So today we have Coach Tyler. We're going to use this also as Tyler's trainer interview, but he's been with us for a long time. After the kind of fall of our Temecula facility, Tyler had to leave and go to a different facility because we didn't have a gym for like 7 months. So, but first we're gonna go over a quick bio, and I'm gonna let Tyler just lead the way, and then we'll get into the comeback. So, trainer interview, Coach Tyler. Before you were at Self-Made, you were doing group fitness.
Correct.
Were you doing anything in fitness before that?
I was.
Okay, you go from there.
Yeah. I was actually in Arizona for about 5 years, but all in the same line of group fitness. Mm-hmm. So I did all franchises. Are we name dropping?
You can say whatever you want.
So I did Orange Theory, F45. Nice. Those were my primaries. So I did Orange 2017 to 19, and then got the opportunity to be a part owner with F45.
Nice.
Same out in Arizona. Did that for the remainder of time up until 2022, and then came out. So
how did that quick tangent? Was there during COVID time?
Yeah.
Was that, how did Arizona handle their fitness and everything?
Arizona was a lot different, a lot more freedom. It didn't feel as impacted. Yeah. And I would come home. So I have family here. And so I would come home, and you definitely felt the difference.
It wasn't even bad in Temecula area compared to like San Diego and LA and things like that, you know? So like, I mean, I didn't give Miguel my key back either. I was like, hey, Miguel, I'm staying up. I'm not fucking leaving. You know, like Wolf of Wall Street. You know,
I ain't leaving.
Yeah. And so I said, you're going to have to tear this out of my COVID dead hands. I can't say that word, COVID. It's not real. COVID. It's not real. Anyway, so yeah, it's awesome to hear that you had more freedom. It was a mother effort around here. But compared to other states, I think our Riverside County, it was pretty smooth. We kind of handled it well. So when did you come full-time back here and leave Arizona? You said 2022?
2022, I came back, and I actually transitioned so I went from the group fitness side. Once I left there, I went all online and did nutrition specific. I actually built out my own nutrition company and ran that for, I want to say like 5 or 6 months, and was going great, super successful, but I honestly missed being in person with like clients and people and kind of the social aspect. So then I jumped back, looked around. I was like, Orange Theory F45, easy to plug back into.
Yeah.
And so I went to the F45 in Temecula, and within a week of me being there as a coach, kind of given my insight to the current owner, he was telling me, hey, I'm thinking of selling. And I was like, oh, and he's like, are you interested? And me just coming from that side, I was like, yeah. And so myself, my mentor / business partner, we went in on it and bought it.
Nice.
And so I ran that. That was probably 8 months, and towards the end of 2022. And this kind of goes hand in hand with like maybe the fitness side people wouldn't necessarily know. But I ran that, and good upswing. It was, seeing success, starting to make, bills and money and all that. And we got shut down because of COVID in a sense, but it was the landlord had put a notice, and the 2 previous LLCs weren't paying rent during COVID time. And
so they came for you for it?
Yes, because we were the current ones. Yeah. And so we had to sort that out, but we literally only had...
It went straight to the previous owner?
Yeah.
Ain't no tires on that car.
Yeah, luckily our LLC wasn't on the notice, but since we were there, they were saying you have X amount of days. So you were able
at least to like close shop? But there was no repercussions financially, like you had to pay back anything?
To get... You probably got... I can get long-winded on like the technical side, but basically what had happened is, because of our previously agreed terms, we were in a good place because we didn't sign for the whole 5-year lease. Mm-hmm. However, we have a franchise agreement, and because the franchise was technically still up, and they were saying things like, is your sign still up? And we're like, well, yeah, but we don't have access to the building. Well, if the sign is up, you're going to pay your franchise fee. So so I had to go through that whole thing. And that was, we had maybe, I don't even know, 3 days to like exit or figure out or pay.
Right.
And it was a substantial amount, which we weren't going to be able to come up with, nor would it be a good idea to.
Yeah.
And so that shift, me kind of being in a tight spot. And then luckily, again, my mentor, he was out in Arizona, and he was like, you can make a shift. He's like, but you got to do it fast. And knowing from Arizona, there was self-mades out there, and kind of having an idea of the concept, went to the Temecula Self-Made, and
everybody follow me.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Having a space for them though to go, because some went to the winds like within 2 days, you know, different gyms, different group fitness.
There's so many group fitness places now. It's easy to move, but the ones that were there because of you or that formed a relationship with you, we're going to go with you.
Yep.
And that leads me to the Comeback Series.
Yes.
So you started, what brought you, besides like, you know, your building being taken from you?
Yep.
You mentioned that you knew Self-Mades in Arizona.
Yeah.
So what brought you and what kind of like enticed you to become part of the brand the first time you came?
Self-Made, for where I had seen it in Arizona, was more of like, it seemed like outside looking in, more the entrepreneurial, like, oh, if you know your stuff, you're going to make your own thing happen at Self-Made.
Right.
Cause I had only known that like those coaches had their own websites and their own branding. And I was like, they're doing it. And, during that time when I was out in Arizona, Self-Made made a pretty, loud noise out there in terms of, again, the shutdown. And they were
Matt McAfee, or what was his name? Beard guy.
Yep.
Yeah. He's cool.
And, but they were making some noise at the time because they were like, like, we're not shutting our doors. This is our way of life.
Taking videos when they were getting they're pulling people over. Then they come out the street. They were literally pulling the clients over.
Yep.
Shoot, try that around here.
Yeah. So that was going on, but I had heard of Self-Made in those terms. Coaches making their own, you know, name for themselves and their own business. So I knew that it existed. I never had been in one or anything like that, but that was like my first thought. I was like, I know there's a Self-Made out here in Temecula. I've heard of it.
And being someone that had been a business owner and had an entrepreneurial mindset with your app, the nutrition app, it was something that attracted you to Self-Made because really it was all about growth. You know, I said is in prospering. And Miguel always preached that, you know, if you're not going in that direction, you're not growing, then, you know, your procrastination is death. Yep. And so just the whole like aura and the idea behind Self-Made of having that entrepreneurial mindset to like never give up, keep going, provide a service to your community and bring everyone along with you for the ride. Like that seems to be like something that you do and have done still. So I remember you were one of the first trainers that came here that had a decent clientele and didn't really need too much help. Yeah. Right. And just you have more maturity than some of the younger trainers that come in. So you have that going for you too. But you also carried yourself, you ran your business well, and you could tell that all your clients enjoyed their sessions. So you kind of like full package, you came here. Yeah. And then you left, and I know that you went to a different facility, and then Self-Made, you know, with everything happened with Miguel, went down. So what was a change for you when you went from Self-Made to that new facility? What were some of the biggest changes you felt?
Well, I think from its base, that's something I had done in the past so often. So it was very intriguing in general for me to, okay, I've done this before. Let me see what I can make of it in a sense and what it might become. But the difference, I mean, it's pretty black and white in terms of like what Self-Made has already done and had set in place, because a new facility, you're making it what you want it to be and what the outlook is going to be like, but you're doing that with trial and error because you're juggling, okay, I want it to feel like this, but I have to focus on the business side too, and relationships and growth and
spreading yourself thin.
So you're kind of doing a lot of things in the beginning. So the atmosphere though, it's funny because having that facility, the background was Self-Made. So a lot of like the things we enjoyed about it, we wanted to somewhat replicate.
Right. Because it was a prior self-made trainer that opened that facility.
Correct.
And he left in good graces, man. He's a great dude. And I still talk to him to this day. And that was kind of a great example of how self-made allows you to grow in your own way. And I remember when Boogie left, Miguel actually brought Boogie down and used him as an example and how happy he was for Boogie to leave. Not because he's like, get out of here, Boogie, but because he was like, he's built his business and he's tailoring his niche market to a certain thing. Now he's going to have his own little facility and he's run it out of there. And Boogie's back with us. Awesome. But part of the growth was that not that you outgrow, but you branch out. And so when that trainer opened up the gym that you were at, that was more of like an offshoot or a branch of. Now, is there something that you felt that you missed there that, you know, was at Self-Made or that became Self-Made later that maybe that wasn't as run as well, or that there's something that you missed about Self-Made?
Yeah, I think absolutely. It's just the ability to do your own thing and make it what you want exactly. Going into it, if you're not doing it for yourself, you're working with somebody or you're working under someone, it's always going to be a shared vision as opposed to at Self-Made, you make it exactly what you want. So you feel like you want to fill these hours, you want to do these things with your clients, you can make it happen. So in the back of my mind, that was always there, as I controlled the hours. I was in charge of what the community vibe was like, because it was up to me to
your own marketing techniques, your own strategies, everything.
Yeah, because it's yours to do it. You're the brand. So that's where it differed, where again, if you're going in it with a partner,
a single solitary vision to a shared vision.
Correct.
I see that for sure.
Yeah. So Self-Made always, you know, that's the basis of what it is it's something you get to create on your own. So in the back of my mind, that was always there of, you know, oh, I had these hours, or I could have been making this much, you know, and you do sacrifices to try and do a build out. But yeah, that was always the thing looking back was it's nice being able to create your vision how you want.
Right.
And you're in control.
Yeah, you're doing it on yourself.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
You're making it yourself. Self-made. Weird.
Exactly. Yeah.
So now that you're back, and I see you doing the group thing again, and you have some like semi-private, smaller ones, and you have a lot of ladies groups and stuff trained similar to how I do. What do you notice now, besides the missing the big figure that we had having Miguel, you know, as far as like vibe, energy, you feel like we're doing a pretty good job of trying to keep it alive? Like how would you say Self-Made is now? Because obviously you came back because you wanted your vision. You wanted to do things your way, and you've done it your way before. And when you enter business with other people, sometimes it gets difficult. So you want to bring back, and you probably didn't feel like you're able to give your best self because you're having to share that vision, and maybe your heart wasn't truly in their part of the vision. So now that you're back here, your heart's and everything, what do you see and project for the future? What do you like about what we got going on here now?
One, the facility, I was absolutely impressed. I was like, really, okay, I came in, awesome. This is it's a beautiful facility. The cleanliness was huge. I think just taking what was learned from the past facility and then actually applying those things that maybe because, you know, how busy or the tempo or the growth, now that it's kind of slowed down to focus on those things. But one of the bigger things that I liked, speaking with Julie, was she was saying how now with trainers coming in, she is a little bit more strict in vetting, which is amazing, because what that does for the environment, and again, knowing like the past facility, having trainers, it's nice to have a lot, but actually having the quality of them and how it affects the environment has been really nice.
Yeah, we haven't had much attrition here. The only time we've really had any client or any client of Self-Made, any trainer, not stay in the last, 7-8 months is mostly because they have some other obligation, and it wasn't have to do with the facility. So one of the guys is not going to be able to train anymore starting next month. It was because he had a full-time job, new kid, and him trying to balance all that.
Yeah.
And he wasn't present at home all the time, and so that was just rough. It's nothing to do with self-made. It was just a fact, of his life. And so we'll miss him, but his goal is to come back.
Nice.
Because he loves it, but he needs to spend his attention and time there. And we will have welcome arms for him when he comes back. So last thing is talk about 2026. We're at the end of January now. We got my birthday month coming up, in a couple weeks. Birthday month coming up, all 28 days of it. And but for you, what's the next quarter of your life, or the next till summer? Do you have any change of business plans or any marketing strategies or something you can share with us?
I think now for 2026, and especially that was pretty neat, kind of coming back, fresh start, new year. Again, seeing the quality of like where Self-Made is now. So it made me very excited, but I think more so just to give back to the clients. I feel like now I'm even more prepared to give them more of the, as you said, what you touched on, which was great, like more of the attention to detail and excitement to be with them and just training. Whereas again, past, you're juggling so much, you kind of start to lose the connection of why you have them, what their goals are, and, you lose touch with it. So now being focused on just that, I'm really excited to have that back where now we can get to some results. Last year I opened up a little bit and played with doing show prep. So one of my clients wanted to step on stage and then she made it to nationals, which was super cool.
I was there with her.
In Vegas.
I made her have tequila the day after the show. Sorry.
That looked like a good celebration. Well deserved though.
Jason left me hanging, man. I had like 7 bikini girls and me at the pool party.
What's the guy to do but to have some tequila?
That was a rough one,
Yeah, but
Thanks, bro.
that was a cool show.
Heck yeah.
That was really fun to do on all aspects. The whole prep was pretty neat. So that was a good time. So going into this year, if she wants to do round 2 or if any of the other girls, now it's kind of opened the door because she's a mom. She never had competed before. So now it gave a lot of,
I remember we were all waiting. We were waiting, She'd be staring at my girls and other trainers' girls would be like, it's about time, bro. It's been like 3 years. No, she did great. She looked freaking awesome.
Yeah, she did amazing. Turnout was great. It was a cool eye-opener to nationals. My goodness, like the competition, I was like, dang. But it was a really cool experience. I think it helped a lot of the other girls that I have, with the curiosity, like, oh, maybe I can do that, or it's doable, So.
Now, if you had one thing to leave the viewers with today, for the Comeback Series, obviously we want to do a trainer interview to get your name out there and to help your brand, co-branded with Self-Made. But for the most part, the Comeback Series videos that we do are to talk about the culture here and how Self-Made helps them grow their business, how it allows you to grow your business your way. If there's someone sitting on the fence, a trainer, let's say they have some established business. They're not maybe as full as they want to be, but they're not like a bare minimum, just got certified. If there's a trainer that's in the area and you had one piece of advice or one thing that maybe like would push them over the edge and take the plunge to come here at Self-Made, what would it be?
That's a tough one. That's good. That's a loaded one. But I think if you're on the edge and you're kind of teetering, I think that's kind of like a telltale that you kind of know you're ready for something next because you're kind of unsure. Exactly. Yeah. You're either set and like what's next, or you're kind of thinking of, okay, what am I going to do to grow? That thought process, I think, is kind of the answer of now you have to make the next step.
Right.
Same as you mentioned earlier, there's coaches here that they're growing so much, which is a perfect problem to have. Like, I need another coach, or I'm so full at these times. That's a great problem to have because now, okay, are they ready for that next step, or how are they going to figure their next growth stage out? And so if they're a coach teetering, or if you're thinking about what the next step is, something like this obviously is going to either force you to grow. I don't think it's ever comfortable to get uncomfortable out of your norm. But I will say something you touched on previous, talking about how that trainer, if they came back, you'd welcome them back with open arms. I felt that coming back, which was super cool. Yeah. My first day, everybody, you're back. Hey man, welcome back. And 100%. That was awesome. But I will say also, to that point, again, being on the edge, the environment here and how it's been refined with everything. A point I could bring up is just the other day, like I have no shame in, learning or asking for help or any of those things, which everyone here is very eager and super helpful. But, just the other day asking you a cue for, in front of a client, because I know your past with
tearing my
shoulder. Hey, this guy tore his back. Let me show you how not to do that. Yeah. But your cues on that, like, I'm not going to be like, well, no, I want to cue you. So you take it from me, take it from someone that's been there and done more and had to focus on that. And so I pulled you aside and, hey, can you cue him on why it's important, So I think either way, you taking that next step, or here specifically, you'll be taken care of for sure.
So there's your tip. So if you're on the edge about whether to go private and you're at a corporate gym, or if you're at another private facility that you don't feel like has a good vibe or energy or culture for you, come here to Self-Made. We'll welcome you with open arms. And if you're falling after that, getting pushed off the cliff, we'll try and catch you before you hit rock bottom.
Exactly.
Anyways, Coach Tyler, and we're out. Oh, that's the best one. Got him.